So, shift on purpose. Today we're going to have a very interesting conversation. We're always keen to talk about positive psychology, nurturing the human spirit, amplifying your personal power, being that authentic self on the journey of life. So between the twists and turns of it all and the fact that we're coming into spring and September's almost on us, we want to yarn a little bit today, Paul, about being a good father. And it's not so much the leadership title of fatherhood, it's the energy, identity, meaning of it for a worthwhile person.
Yeah.
So
topic close to our hearts.
That's right. I've had the privilege of watching a beautiful son and daughter grow up over the last 3 decades. You're raising a beautiful young man in his second
He's
decade.
going in the second decade, 12 years old, yeah.
And I've also had the joy of 2 months ago, the first ever grandson coming into the world.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. So the generational impact is quite significant too on the journey.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the themes that I think really matters in being a good father is the very thing we talk about in this podcast, doing the inner work so you know your identity. There isn't one right book, there isn't one right theory, there isn't one right model of the parenting ABC of life. What there is from a male perspective, you being the best version of yourself every time you're engaging with the people you love the most, meaning often your own son, your own daughter, your own extended family, but also coming from a place of unconditional love. So from a calm mind, a calm body, a calm clarity of intention and purpose, how can you show up as the best version of yourself as consistently as possible, knowing that the stresses of life and the school of hard knocks and the ups and downs of the journey mean you will stumble, make mistakes, do some harmful things, perhaps unintentionally, perhaps through sheer pig-headedness and foolishness. And you know, as a good father, you learn to reflect, regret, if you like, the error of your ways, and recalibrate and grow again and try again.
Yeah.
So, from an identity point of view, what stands out to you on your journey so far? What makes a difference in how and why you show up the way you do? I know you're extremely mindful. I know you have a conversation, your higher self reflecting with you in real time now on things you might have done that you go, in hindsight, I could have done better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you did the intro, I was like, what's the marker of a good father? Like, what are we looking for? And I think about both. It's like I'm looking for happiness in my child. I'm looking for someone that is ready to go and experience the world. Yeah. And understand that there's beauty in that, and there's beauty in the things that you do, and there's appreciation in that. It's not so much tied to some sort of marker of success or that there's some sort of version of perfection that we're looking for.
Yeah.
It's so I think with parenting, you can throw perfection out the window straight away because you'll never be the perfect parent and they will never be the perfect child, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even that story of, you know, perfection or the right path or the ideal outcome, there isn't one right formula. You know, we spend a lot of time respectfully reminding people or sharing for people's consideration some of the core mindsets that we know associated with big positive transformation, if you like, in someone's life. And one of those realities comes down to know thyself, walk the path of your own heart, if you like, with grace and dignity and integrity, knowing that there's going to be multiple twists and turns, you know, knowing that there'll be periods of doubt and uncertainty. And through the tools of positive psychology, through the concepts of love-based leadership, through nurturing of your human spirit, through engaging the ecosystem of other high caliber people on the same journey with an intention to be the best version of themselves around us, that powerful truth comes to the front of our reality, and that is, it actually takes a village to raise a single child.
It does.
So that notion of the perfect father, it's an illusion. And it's often intriguing to me, Paul, the other parties out there in this complex modern world who often fall into an irrational pattern, in my view, of wanting to lecture to a cohort of fathers on what an ideal father should be, as if someone who's not been a father, not done the journey, not experienced the highs and lows of,
or just done it one way.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
when you. So I'm a parent of a single child. My experience in parenting is very different than if you had 2 or 3 kids or multiple kids. If you had 5+ kids, you just can't. You don't have the amount of attention for that one child anymore. You have to spread that attention. If we just looked at that as right or wrong, how much attention you gave your child, then we look at these outcomes of larger families and say, well, it's just impossible to have a great outcome from a parenting perspective. We know that not to be true. So I think that the important thing, and the thing I'm thinking in my head right now is that, how are you showing up, and what role are you, are you the role model in your child's life?
Yeah.
How are they looking at you? Are you looking at yourself through their lens?
That is so important. Perhaps later in the podcast, we'll talk more formally about, what do we regret, or what have we learnt in hindsight that we could have really done better? Had we known better at the time, what would we have changed? And one of them for me was I had a default position, partly because of busyness and workaholism and not prioritizing properly, and perhaps lacking quality wise elders at that stage of my life to give me some feedback and guidance. I fell into the trap of responding to my son and daughter based on a story in my head of who I believe them to be, or even who I subconsciously needed them to be. And because children just reflect love, they graciously tried to fit into that story.
Yeah.
And it's only as I watched them get older, I went, what a limiting pattern I had created unintentionally, because I needed to be asking them to teach me who they are, and to respond from unconditional love for the magnificence of their journey, rather than me trying to predefine and predict in advance what I think they're going to need. Yeah,
it's interesting that you say that, because it's not. I think you touched on the fact that we sometimes set expectations on our children as if we know who they're meant to be.
Yes,
and they feel like laden with that expectation a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
Therefore, we're changing their trajectory. If we stay with that, we're changing their trajectory rather than being their own sort of individual self and celebrating that to being someone that we want them to be. And worse than that is, I think that when I look, back at people around me, at my own actions as a parent, sometimes I think that because we're an adult, we forget what it's like to be a child. We forget where they're at developmentally.
The playfulness, the joyfulness,
and
the
sometimes
love of the little things.
Sometimes we're setting those expectations that they can't possibly meet. And I say it to my friends a lot as well, and we say it in coaching: is that, are you setting an expectation on this person, this little human being, an expectation that you can't even meet as an adult, right? So it's like I didn't make my bed this morning. Okay. I didn't make my bed. I usually make my bed first thing in the morning.
You're big on rituals, which we endorse.
Yeah. So I had a bit going on this morning. I didn't make my bed. I've I've gone to the gym, done the school run, come here to film this. There was a bit of moving parts, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't overload my morning. And probably going to take a couple of minutes. I just decided not to do it. It's not a bother for me that I didn't do it. When I get home later today, I'll make the bed.
Yes.
I probably just won't just jump in it. I'll make it first, right? It's just who I am. I gave myself some grace in that story, okay? That it was okay to leave the house without making the bed.
Correct.
Now, if I get home and I walk into my son's bedroom and he hasn't made his bed, do I give him the same grace? I should. Oftentimes we're like, well, no, we set this expectation on you, you didn't meet it. Therefore, there's some punishment for that with a lack of understanding.
Yeah, okay.
And there's probably a shortness in our thinking, our self-awareness, and the awareness of what's going on in our child's life. There's just like where will we be if there's not discipline in this story? Where will we be if these things aren't met that need to be met? How will this like trickle down on this waterfall effect and enter up into bigger issues?
So now
there's a fear with it,
Yep.
right? Down the line.
We're into that mindset reality. You know, we talk about, we think in our heads at 1,000 words a minute, that automatic self-talk, whereas we verbalize at 150 words a minute. So that 10 times more automatic self-talk is what we were referencing, you know, 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago when we said the identity is what influences your outcome as a father, not the right formulas or the right ABC book on dad's best practices. No.
Yeah.
Master that 1,000 words a minute. Become aware of that automatic negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Notice when your thoughts are spiraling into what if this, worried about that, not should have, could have, would have, and shift that. Shift the energy in that moment so that you start to come from that place of love and light and peace and beauty. The energetic presence is what the child will sense the most.
Yeah.
And the most powerful energetic presence is unconditional love. I will love you no matter what. You are already lovable, worthwhile, and enough because of the intrinsic depth and magnificence of who you are as a unique spirit. And that's the other side of my learning, Paul. Not only did I fall into the trap of my busy 1,000 words a minute, predefining a story in my head of who I thought my son and daughter were and responding from my story and my needs, I didn't pause enough and create the simple, quiet times in our lives for them to educate and teach me from the magnificence of their knowing and their knowledge and the gifts they've brought into this world. Yeah, and that's fatherhood in its pure essence, in my view.
Yeah.
That dance of love and delight with the young spirit and wisdom of a child, co-creating the joy and laughter and playfulness with you as the older person on the journey.
Yeah. Like allow yourself to be inspired by your child.
Yes.
And allow them to tell you these stories. And I think in today's, it's not just the busyness of life, but we complicate it with our own addiction. So if you think about how many parents are at home this afternoon, it's Friday, we're starting the weekend. How many of those parents are going to be on their phones and on social media and responding to friends and not taking that moment out? Like, I'm guilty of it too. And when Bo, I sort of have to force myself a lot of the time when Bo comes up to me and he's all excited about telling me a story, is not to say, hey, can it wait? Because this, or to, I'm doing something right now. I have to, it's hard to sometimes just pull yourself away from that thing that you're doing and just give them a moment.
Yeah.
But I'm very mindful of that. That's like, how would I feel if it was in burst, how would I feel? If I went up to him and said, hey, I got this really exciting thing to tell you right now. And he just said, hey, Dad, come back. Like, I'm busy right now. Leave my room.
Yeah.
How would the inverse feel?
Yes.
So you're right, and you're talking about the magic that you're missing in that. We just don't get carried away by life when life is right there in front of you to be lived.
Yes, Paul, which also taps into that problem of again, an irrational belief, a limiting mental model of the world that a lot of us fall into. It's a version of workaholism in the sense that if I keep working hard and put the long hours in and create structure and resources, then magically one day there'll be a point when I can give my son and daughter my full attention, or the family can have as much quality time as we would prefer and love. But it's a false loop. That end point never arrives. The opportunity is right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important to segue from here too and say, well, I was very fortunate that I could be there. I can spend a lot of time with my son. Now there are people working fly in, fly out jobs, that are trying to set their kids up for a better future with an opportunity that's right in front of them now. Yes. And I think it's important to say, well, what we started with, there's not one model of parenting, and it doesn't make you a bad father by going and taking an opportunity that does have a windfall attached to it to set your family up, because ultimately as men, we are providers. Right?
Yeah.
So I think it'd be really interesting just to delve into this a bit, because like if you are away, if work is taking you away or life is taking you away from your children, it doesn't mean that when those moments that you have with them, that you can then really show up and they'll remember that, right?
That's true.
Like dad was a workaholic. I still remember that he took me to cricket every Saturday morning he could, right?
Yeah.
You know, I remember the car ride there. I remember the music we used to listen to,
and
the stories he used to tell me.
And you could rely on that.
Yeah.
Dad would keep his word.
Yeah, and it didn't matter that dad was traveling around Australia the previous 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right, because when he was there, he was there.
Yeah.
And he was in it.
And let's broaden that that role, if you like, of provider, which is valuable and important. It's also got an aspect of guardianship to it, and protector and nurturer. Yeah, and again, I just want to endorse this idea of fatherhood. It requires working on your identity. It requires working on your mindset. It requires staying on that journey so you get deeper and deeper clarity of intention and purpose.
Yeah.
And always, wherever possible, coming from unconditional love. My heart is open. I'm connected to the energy of Mother Earth, and I radiate that joy and love and light. If that sounds a little esoteric and abstract, bring it down to every day I do my breathing and visualizing techniques to calm the mind, calm the body, rebalance my neurochemistry. Every day I do my exercise and stretching routines, physically because that's good for us, but also because psychologically and emotionally, we're able to stay in those higher states of conscious awareness, states of love and peace and beauty and truth and trust, freedom, joy. Those energetic presences are what underpins that unconditional love with really everyone you want to connect with, but for your own children as a father, such a priceless privilege that in the busyness of life we might filter at a level where we're not aligned properly with that.
Yeah. Well, the rebuttal often is that I don't have the energy. I'm so busy. I'm up in the morning. I'm doing this. And you can hear it. We speak to plenty of coaching clients, so we can hear it in their voice. You hear the anxiety in their voice of trying to come up with the excuses to justify the lack of energy. When what you're saying is sometimes it's as simple as just, hey, for the next minute, I'm going to focus on my breathing.
Yes.
You know, when I wake up in the morning, I'm just going to do some stretches. When I'm like ready to meet the children where they are, I'm ready to meet them where they are.
Yes. Yes.
And so that doesn't mean you don't need all the hours in the day or week to spend with them. In fact, as they get older, they'll want less and less time because they're living their own life. So you want to maximize that time with them. And if that energy, that's why the energy check-in is really good. You know, it's like, where is our energy levels right now where they need to be? Like out of a 10, being I've got all the energy in the world, and the 0 mean I'm completely depleted. I just want to get to bed. We've spoken about in the previous podcast where you can do that check-in with your partner. I do it with my kids. You know, I go, we get home in the day. It's like, where are you at from your day at school? Where am I at from my day at work? And the thing I love about Bo is that I must be doing something right, because I not only ask him how his day is, although I massage that to get a little bit more out of him, because you'll get the one-word answers. Good.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to massage it out of him, but fortunately that's a gift of mine to get people to talk. But he'll do the same to me.
Yes.
It's like, what's the highlight of your day, Dad? You know, or did you go to the gym this morning? Or how was this? Or how was that? And so then, you know, well, you're opening up your world to them as well.
Good.
You know, when I was young, my dad went to work. I didn't really know what my dad did.
Yeah, interesting.
He sort of had those jokes where he's like, take your kid to work day, you know?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, obviously you can't bring them in on everything, but just trying to communicate, you know, what it is that you do, why you're passionate about this, why it matters to you. Not just, again, the inverse is like you get home, you're depleted, your energy's at a 1 or 2, and your kid's vying for your attention. It's like, don't you know how hard I'm working today? Don't you know I had all these things on? Don't you know, like this, I tried to get home to, you know, I was trying to get home and the traffic and this, and you, all that stress is coming out. They feel like they're doing something wrong for asking you the question.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right.
So yeah, managing stress and staying in that balanced ritual. You know, again, we always reference the pyramid. physical rituals, emotional rituals, intellectual rituals, spiritual rituals.
Yeah.
All of that sharpens and grounds your identity so you show up as the best version of yourself. And again, this love-based leadership that we know diffuses into all dimensions of a person's life, right?
Do you think people are scared of that, though? You think it's, when you say love, do you think people can be scared of that?
Yes,
because it comes with
with
weight.
And because much of the social conditioning of the modern world is fear-based, yeah? If I don't chase and hustle for all my goals and outcomes and so-called success in life, then I won't have enough and we'll end up poor or destitute or no choices or stuck in a vicious cycle of limit. But beyond that, yes, there is hardship. Yes, there's periods of time when worthwhile people are really doing it tough. But that's a temporary pattern compared to the underlying energy that you want to bring to that situation. Yeah. So if I say a phrase like, "My heart is open to receive the energy of love. I radiate this essence. I walk my path with ease and grace." If it just stays at the intellectual level as a nice idea, the pattern won't change. But if a person starts to take concrete steps, so what's an example of a concrete step to open your heart to love? If you've had a really hectic, overwhelming day in the office and your mind's consumed by I don't know, deadlines, financial pressures, arguments that happen because clients and you misheard each other, whatever it is, whatever's been going on that leads you to be driving, if you're commuting or not, maybe you're working from home and you're leaving one home office to walk into the family dining room, whatever. Wherever you're in that position where you're about to go into the family home and you're about to engage with the people you love and your children are there, be very mindful what's the energy you want to bring into that situation. What's the mental model and mindset? And if necessary, park your car one street from your home address and do a check-in on yourself. The busyness of the mind, the negative 1,000 words a minute, the emotional state of arousal you're in, do the rhythmic breathing, deeply in through your nose, softly down into your tummy, slowly back out through your mouth.
And if you're sitting there right now and you go, "I could never do that. I could never stop one street out. I could never," like,
of course you can.
Then you need it more than anyone else.
It's a conscious choice.
It's a conscious choice.
And it only takes 2 to 3 minutes. You do the rhythm of your breath. You scan from step 2 is you scan from head to toe, just sitting there in the driver's seat, parked, a block or a street from your home address, scanning from head to toe, letting the tension leave your body. You allow all those 1,000 words a minute, negative doubts, worries, whatever, to bubble past. Yes, we know it's there. Yes, we know in the fullness of time you're going to be dealing with that stuff. But right now, it's water in a giant decorative water fountain. It just bubbles and settles in the background. You're changing your neural pathway. You're not giving it energy. You're not fighting it. You're just letting it bubble past. And then you visualize with your eyes closed just a calm, peaceful place, like a movie camera playing inside your forehead. Your favourite beach, a beautiful rainforest, a lovely holiday spot, whatever it is, some visual image in your mind's eye that you associate with calm, peaceful, safe, relaxed. And those 4 steps in a parked car, a couple of streets from home, will shift your energy. And so when you drive into the driveway and you walk up through the front door, your energy fits what I just said. My heart is open to receive the energy of love. I radiate this essence. I walk my path with ease and grace. So instead of slamming the door because your mind's full of pressure, kicking the dog because you didn't want it jumping all over you, dumping the briefcase, what a friggin' day. You walk in with, wow, how good to see you guys. Give me a hug. I love you heaps.
Like have it just pause and reflect on this for a second. Are we thriving or surviving in life right now in this moment that you're listening to this? Do you feel like you're hanging on and surviving? Or do you feel like you're thriving? And the best switch that I've found in my life and with my clients is that we've got to start thinking as life as a gift. We've got to start thinking of the fact that talk to couples that can't have kids. Talk to couples that have been trying to have kids and they can't have kids. Talk to couples that have had a kid and they've lost a kid, right? And they can't do it again. They can't. Right?
That's
it's
devastating.
Like it's a gift, people. It's a gift. Appreciate it. If I brought you a package right now and it had the bow and all that and you had to unwrap it and there was something inside it that you really, really wanted, you'd be ecstatic. right? This is the opportunity we have every day. And so Peter's just given a great example of when you rock up these little it's like physical moments where we can stop and reset our energy.
Yes.
And I do a technique of that with my clients where we link it to some sort of sound or some click. You know, when you click the garage door buzzer,
Yes.
that's a reflection to so you're
Yes.
sort of
Well,
hypnotizing yourself.
it's called an emotional anchor.
Yeah,
It
emotional.
takes you back.
Yeah,
It's really good.
And so like I'll give you a hint. It's way easier when we set this up from the beginning.
You got it.
When we get out of bed and we're feeling a certain way, we get to dictate that first few minutes of the day. We get to dictate who we're going to be and
Yes,
how we're going to show up.
And now we're back into that conscious choice. What am I grateful for? What am I appreciative of? What do I want to create more of in my life, which is abundance mindset, as opposed to what am I fearful of? What am I worried about? What am I lacking in? There will be the roller coaster of sometimes you will feel those negative emotions, but we choose not to amplify those neural pathways.
Yeah.
We choose to forgive ourselves for past mistakes and
Yeah.
misunderstandings.
Yeah.
We choose in the fatherhood journey, we choose to rebuild powerful, connected, heart-centered, love-based, authentic connection to our kids and our loved ones.
And here's where that's important. I'll give you like a story from my own life, is that Peter and I did a lot of work on trying to open up my heart chakras. Well, Peter runs this thing called the Leadership Circle, and
it's
I've
great,
been privileged enough to sit in on some of those. And
that's for 6 months with other high caliber people, men and women, on a journey where for half a day we're in a confidential coaching group session, aren't we? Looking at you should.
And I'd say, like, if you haven't found your people yet and you struggle to do it alone, I find like I'm better when I'm turning up for there's an expectation from other people that I'm turning up and I'm putting in the work, right? That's why I like having a child. That's why I like having employees, because you've got to turn up, right? So there's a forced measure in me to be the best version of myself. So Leadership Circle, just to tie a bow in that, is you're turning up with other people that are going to keep you accountable, but other people that are traveling that same journey with you. So Peter does a really great job of putting you in a room with people that you will connect with, that will become your people on that journey.
Yeah.
And
it's facilitated in a way that it's safe to be vulnerable.
It's
but
very safe.
We're still talking high caliber performance.
Yeah. And people get amazing results out of that. But I remember, like, specifically talking about opening up my heart chakra, and that was daunting for me, given some of the things that happened in my past and broken hearts. And one thing that's worked amazingly well, and I'll put it in context as a father and with my child, but if I'm going to receive something and I'm not giving it, it's hard to receive. It's hard to take it in, right? Yes. So I'll let, you say it all the time, lead with love. And so I actually started leading with love. I was saying to people, I'll love you. I love you guys when you're leaving the gym. Give someone a hug. I love that about you. Or Bo's telling me a story, and this is when it comes into the fatherhood thing. Bo is telling me something and he's so passionate about it, or he's laughing. I'm like, I love that. And it's not just the story. I love your enthusiasm about that. Yes. I love that you're telling me that. I love that you're here right now and we get to discuss this. And so I'm letting him know that, because I want that in return, right? And the more that I've done that in the world, the more the world is returning that to me. And so, I've met some people in the last sort of 6 months where I'm like, oh my God, if I hadn't done this and opened up, like, the experiences I would have missed out on. Yeah. And so, we're going to film another podcast today, but this idea of sunk costs in this and self-forgiveness is huge. I think that's in parenting as well. If you haven't shown up for a bit, right? If you've given your life to other things, however justifiable that is, we're not judging. But you're wanting to show up as a better father right now, that self-forgiveness and not worrying about sunk cost in other places is that you have this opportunity now. Yes. The
door to your dreams is always open. Start right now. Yeah. That's right. Make the shift.
So in my life, Peter's talking about opening up my heart chakra, leading with love. Well, you know what? It's as easy as just telling people that you love them.
Good start.
Right?
Yeah, you're onto it.
Telling that you love that about them,
So thank you, brother, for sharing that. You are a very good man. Can I recommend, we've got a few minutes to wrap up, we had said in thinking about coming into September, the spring, first Sunday in spring is Father's Day, that we wanted to make the theme a little bit about the identity of fatherhood. Can we just acknowledge all good parents? Mums, dads, whatever, grandparents, who's ever doing the parenting. It is absolutely psychologically true that it takes a village to raise a child, and everyone's input matters. Yeah, and I did write a few notes, Paul, about what would I say to my younger self now? Now that my son and daughter are into their 30s, what would I have coached myself to do as a father better when they were younger? And I've reflected on the workaholism part of it.
I'm glad you gave me the notes so I don't have to take them, because I'm very interested in this.
I've shared in this discussion between you and I the errors of my ways in imposing my story on who I think they were. We probably haven't talked a lot about needing to ask for forgiveness, because that's important. Like you said, it's never too late to reframe, new mindset, step into that next level of love-based connection to your kids. But if you've been out of the pattern for a while, as I was with my workaholism and consumed by the hustle, it's important to ask for their forgiveness and to acknowledge the error of your ways in a way, and to be very specific and accountable to your sons and daughters that this is the shift I'm going to make. This is what I commit to. Let's learn together for a change in our pattern, please. Yeah.
And even the step further, like, how do I show up? How do I show up best for you?
Yeah. And this idea of it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes an ecosystem of good people in your and my life to walk beside us and be partners in nurturing our spirits together. Yeah. So be mindful who you invest your time and energy with consistently, and are they giving you an uplift and a sense of encouragement and purpose, or are they full of blame, judgment, criticism, fear, and negativity? Because the more you sit in that environment, the more you risk changing gears and coming down to that level of fear and doubt and anxiety. And it's not to be naive that there aren't challenges in the world, but it's to choose to parent and grow from a place of loving kindness, not a place of fear and lack and vulnerability. It's nothing to do with the physical surroundings, it's to do with the energetic intention and the purpose. We probably haven't got the time in this podcast, but we might pick it up in some of our other content in future series even, because we are almost at the end of series 2. It's been a journey. Perhaps in series 3 we'll talk about it. Particularly in male traditions, there is a patriarchal patterning that's quite interesting. So my father, very strong messaging, be your own man. And I'm not necessarily saying that has to be adopted by other people, but it certainly had a patterning on me about walk your own path, take personal responsibility, be of service to others. But I'm also mindful, my dad was a great man, had a lot of loving kindness, a very supportive country GP. He's been dead quite a few years now, but you can still connect to the joy and love that man shared all his life. He lived into his 80s. My point being, my whole life, I doubt my father ever formally asked me for my advice. I'm sure he was proud of the things I was doing, and we had conversations, sharing our knowledge. But he never asked for my advice. That's a patriarchal pattern from a different generation. And I had to learn to undo that pattern, become aware of it, and I'm delighted as my son and daughters, that both my son and daughter in my journey are just wise souls, and I always seek their advice, even in their youth. Very young, and sometimes I felt I'm making reckless choices. I still wanted their advice on how and why they saw the world that way, and what would they recommend. And because that's where transformation is coming. The old traditional patriarchal models through hierarchy. Yes, we honour and respect our wise elders. That's important, but not limited by old patterns that no longer serve the highest good.
And there's so much purity and in children.
They're the future. And they're some very wise souls coming into the world in recent decades.
And I often say, like, why did we lose touch of that? The same way as, like, you go from a junior school to a senior school, and the playgrounds go and the monkey bars go, and it's like, why are we so hell-bent on growing up in this certain way, right? And not having that joy and play, and yet you get to, so I'm 43 now. I'm looking on to the next chapter when, I'm going into my late 40s into 50, and I've got some feelings about who I want to be in that
Yes.
sort of chapter of my life. And one thing when I look around the people that inspire me is that they have this childlike play.
Yes.
And that childlike play gives them so much energy, no matter what is going on in their life, what the turmoil around them.
Yeah.
They've got so much energy, and they're such giving people.
Yes.
And that's like who I want to be. But I look at my kids and I'm like, funnily that intrinsically I do the same thing and ask for advice all the time.
Good man.
Um,
Yeah, and it brings that joy
it
back
brings
in
it
your
back,
life.
yeah.
And maybe the final thing, just to wrap up entirely, that there's a wise quote. There's a lot of wisdom out there, but this was a powerful woman, Helen Keller, and she was born deaf, dumb, and blind. That's quite a significant list of handicaps, and found ways to overcome those difficulties.
Yeah, wow.
Write some books, contribute a magnificent life for herself and for others. She had a beautiful saying: "Life is either a grand adventure or it's nothing at all." Yeah, and that's quite profound, right? And
Yeah.
so, stay to all the parents out there, mums, dads, grandparents, whatever the dynamic. Um, Thank you if you're sharing unconditional love with the children that you love. That's beautiful, and just keep living the grand adventure.
Yeah.
Please, very, very important. Be that joy, be that love, be that light. Thank you.
Thank you.